Oh, the dog is tearing up my green screen. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of these crazy people that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. I'm Tom. Justin will be joining us shortly. He's having a little technical difficulty, and my dog just messed up my green screen. Thanks, Trixie. So, anyways, we're off to a great start today. Uh, Justin and I are going to talk about frequent eating again, and hopefully we'll get some more guests in here later. Bart might show up. I think Ray might show up. Joe, unfortunately, is busy with work, couldn't make it, so flying solo for the moment. But anyways, maybe you guys want to comment on how frequently you eat. OMAD and 2MAD and stuff like that is very popular these days. But the it's not the only turn on audio. Oh, audio's not working. Hmm. I don't know. As far as I know, the audio is working. I just tested it with Justin. But thanks for the heads up, Alien Drone Service. We'll see if we can fix this somehow. If you can't hear me, let me know. Let's see here. Do. Mm-hmm. Seems on this end that my microphone is working. So, anyways, wow, still can't hear me, huh? That's unfortunate. Uh, Not sure what's going on with that because the microphone level checks, and I'm gonna look and see on another source. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. Wow, what a way to start the day, huh? Let's see here. Well, I can hear myself, so I can hear myself over at the. Well, I can hear myself, so I can hear myself over at the. Yeah, you might want to check and see if there something on your end there, Alien Drone Service. So, anyways, checked it on my phone, and the audio is live. So maybe everybody's having a problem today. Maybe it's not just Justin and my dog. So, anyhow, um, Justin should be back in a second, but he wasn't able to get his camera working. So, anyways, yeah. So Justin and I have been doing this experiment. Basically, started in January. Instead of doing OMAD or 2MAD or restricted eating windows, we have gone to eating small meals or snacks frequently according to hunger. So we wanted to compare that. Our buddy Ray is works with a lot of people who do fasting. They do feasting and fasting. So, well, like I said, sorry, Alien Drone Service. I was able to watch the live stream on my phone, and I could hear myself over the phone. So I'm pretty sure my audio is broadcasting. So, not sure why you can't hear us. I guess there's a number of reasons why that could be. Because my soundboard is on, my microphone levels are registering, so I don't know what else I can check on my end. Huh. Who knows? Maybe there was some sort of interruption in the data service or something like that. So, anyways, glad you're here. And so, yeah, well, Alien Drone Service, since you're here, maybe you want to comment on how much you eat, how frequently you eat. I'm not even sure exactly what your eating style is. Ah, restarted the YouTube app. Yep, could have been. Could have been a little hold up in the YouTube app. No app's perfect, right? So, anyways, um, so for people who don't know, I lift regularly, usually 5 or 6 days a week, sometimes seven, depending on what exactly I'm doing. So I usually eat according to that. I have some issues with. I typically work out at night after work, so that kind of influences when I eat. So it looks like Alien Drone Service does OMAD, which is quite popular these days. Works for a lot of people. So it looks like he might extend his one meal. He says here in the comments. So yeah, that would make sense. I know I couldn't get enough calories in one meal, so I'm not surprised when other people have kind of stretched their meal out because depending on how much you burn, most people burn or they need at least energy equivalent to 2,000 calories north of there. So getting 2,000 calories in one meal is not too tough for most people, but getting a lot more than that can be tough. And like I mentioned before, when I'm really active, my caloric demand is, or my energy demand is something north of 6,000 calories, and that was just not going to happen in one meal. I'd have to chug some sort of special shake or something in order to get that much in, which I just basically eat meat. So I suppose I could put a bunch of meat in a blender and try guzzling it down, but doesn't sound natural, normal, or pleasant, right? So, anyways, I decided to eat more frequently and give that technique a try. It's a technique that's been around for a long time. Many people have used it. Small meals. Um, it's been very widely used in the past, and it seems more frequently. Fasting and OMAD and all that is gotten to be very popular, and of course, it's effective for a lot of people. So we thought, hey, what a great thing to do is contrast the very popular OMAD and fasting and 2MAD and feasting and fasting. And I know one of the first things I tried when I started heading in this direction was the Eat Stop Eat. There's a book by, I think it's Brad Pilon, something like that. He wrote a book. I had a friend who had high blood pressure, and it worked great for him. Brought his blood pressure back down to normal real easy. So, um, it has its place, and I think he was kind of early to the game as far as the new popularity of fasting. So, but it's a good book to read. It's a short book, so people out there want a short book on fasting, check that one out. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that's come out since then. So I'm gonna guess that was probably something like 2014 or something like that when I tried that. So yeah, so Alien Drone Services uses a restricted eating window, with the occasional fasting over 24 hours, right? And I think he said he just fasted yesterday. So yeah, let's see. Justin's here. Let's see if he shows up.
I don't think so.
Camera's not working, huh?
It's working in the backstage, but as soon as I go live, as soon as I come on, you put me on here, it freezes, and I have no idea why. It was working fine the other time, so I guess we'll just have to have my voice today.
That's fine. Yeah, maybe I don't. I know every once in a while when you're talking, you freeze just a little bit. Maybe it was the camera all along and not the data service.
I don't see why. It does fine with Anyway, we don't have to talk about. I'm sure our audience doesn't want to hear us jabber on about our technical issues. Or maybe
Hey,
they
everybody
do.
has technical issues. Alien Drone Service couldn't hear me, and yet my mic was checking out. So I opened YouTube on my phone, and I could hear fine. I could hear the live stream fine. So he had to restart his YouTube app so that he could hear me. So maybe it's something with YouTube today. You know,
Maybe, I don't know.
maybe it's something with StreamYard. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh no. Usually it works fine.
Yeah.
Today.
Technology, huh?
Yep.
So how's the feeding going for you?
I've kind of fallen back into a bit more of 2 meals a day. And then I even had one day where I only had one meal, but that was because like the meal was huge. I was in a rush. I had to work a full day. Not unexpected, but so I didn't have any food cooked. So I was like cooking a bunch of stuff, and I was making, and then so I'd bought this like turkey roast thing. And so I fried up like a bunch of it and ate that for lunch. And I don't know, I didn't measure it out because I was in a rush, because I was on time, because I was clocked out for lunch. I have to come back at a certain time. And it was probably closer to like 1.5 pounds of turkey, and then I threw some cheese on it for garnish.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it filled me up for like the rest of the day. And I want to say I ate that at like 2 or something, and then I was just like full the rest of the day. So I didn't do that. Yesterday, how did I eat yesterday? Yesterday I had eggs, raw eggs. Then I had some ground beef. And then I was out all day, so I didn't eat. And then I think I ate at like 7:30, and I had some what is that beef tip roast or whatever.
Yeah.
And some fried chicken that I'd made early in the week. So that's what I had today. I had my tacos. I don't know if you want to throw those up on the screen that I made today. They can't see me, but maybe they can see my tacos today. I'm quite proud of them. My egg tacos. They were supposed to be like breakfast burritos, but I just like overfilled them, and I didn't know that the Egg Life tortillas were so small. They're about like 4 inches, maybe 5 inches. But I filled them up, and they're really great. I really like those tortillas. So they're essentially 0 carb. I think they have 1 gram of carb in them, like 5 grams of protein. And then I think there's some like xanthan gum. There's a couple of things in there, but super clean as far as like a keto-ish product goes. It's super clean. And you throw it in a pan. I threw a little bit of butter and like grease left over from what I was cooking. Yeah, there you go. And they weren't crispy, and they weren't too soft either. I don't know if you can get them crispy, but you don't really want a crispy tortilla when you're trying to make like a breakfast burrito. And so, yeah, so it was really good. Some of that turkey I was just talking about, some bacon, some cheese, and egg, and it was good. It was a good breakfast. So a couple of those. I did have some ice cream earlier, and then I just ate some ground beef and some fried chicken. So pretty good. It was something like 14 ounces of ground beef and like 5 ounces of chicken. So maybe more like 4.
Yeah, and so what'd your buddy Meat Police have to say?
Yeah, so she's an interesting character, but
I wonder if she's here. So she's probably asleep, huh?
Maybe. I don't know. What time is it in España?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, so she's a funny character. She's asking, how long are you going to be able to keep this up? Which, I mean, there's plenty of fat in this meal. That's the thing I don't get, is that there's bacon, right? Typically 50-50. Eggs were in it. Eggs have fat. Yeah, I know the turkeys probably doesn't have a lot of fat. There's cheese in it. That's also fat. Cheese also has carbohydrate in it. So like I'm
Yep.
doing the whole mixed macronutrient thing, right? And so I just don't like it genuinely confused me that she still had guff to say about that meal because it's relatively fatty compared to when I try to eat leaner.
Yeah, let's put your see if I can get to it. I don't know, it's not showing it. Oh, there. Hey. Let's see.
I mean, maybe because there's no pigeon on the plate.
Cooked
So she's
cooked meat, cheese, and eggs every day. So there's something to do with being cooked. You eat cooked meat every day. I guess that's a problem.
doesn't she as well?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I know she eats cooked meat. I don't know.
I mean, we know she cooks her pigeon. So
Well,
I
look at
mean,
her picture of her like bacon cheeseburger or whatever. That's her picture for her uh, Instagram account. It's even got a
right?
bun.
Yeah.
How dare she?
How dare she?
We'll see. Maybe she'll come. Maybe she'll come on one of these days.
Maybe.
So,
But yeah, that was a pretty good meal. I like the egg life.
I saw them in
Tortillas.
the store. I remember picking up the package and reading the ingredients and wondering, should I try these? And I just never got around to it. So,
What I want to do with them is make a steak quesadilla. I feel like that would be bomb.
yeah.
And then maybe a steak, breakfast burrito, steak, bacon, cheese, egg,
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of ground beef. I don't know.
what if they made a giant like burrito wrapper style?
That'd be amazing.
You just stuff it with all the good stuff.
Although my burrito wrapping skills probably need some help these days. It's been a long time.
Yeah, well, we all need a little practice from time to time. So how's the workouts going? How's the old X3 bar?
It's going well. I typically take Sundays off, but I skipped a day in the middle of the week just because I didn't sleep well. But other than that, it's been going good, still consistent. I'm getting a little bit more of my abs to show, which I'm pretty happy about, which is pretty cool. It's a slow gain. Um, and then one thing I did want to talk about is that for those that don't know, I think I've talked about it before, but I know I don't bring it up too much. So over the last probably 3 years, I've done off and on donating plasma. And for those that don't know, or they're in another country, or maybe they're not familiar, I'm pretty sure people know what plasma is, but you can donate it and get money for it, a little bit of extra cash. But it's interesting because you got to hit certain health requirements for it. And so like your hematocrit, your iron, your blood pressure, your heart rate, like they check all that stuff every time. And they give you like a yearly physical. And what's interesting is the first year I was carnivore and I did it. So I had done it before carnivore when I was more plant-based too. And when I did it then, the problem I ran into was my veins would collapse. So they just, because they pump you. So it's kind of like donating blood, except they extract the plasma and then they put your blood back in you. So you get your blood back, provided everything's working right. But if your vein collapses, then they can't get the blood back into you, and it's like a big problem. And so that was when I was more plant-based. I remember I would go in after having like a waffle and a vegan like Orgain vanilla protein shake, and I would go and do it. Then I was carnivore. Within the first year or so, I was doing it. And ironically, they told me that my protein was not high enough. So I got pulled off of it because they said my protein wasn't high enough, which I thought was super weird. Last time I tried to do it was last year, around April, May, when I first moved out here. And it was fine, except I was running into the problem of my hematocrit, or i.e. your iron levels, being too high. And I guess if it's too high, then it's hard to get, you clot too easily and too much. And so it's hard for them to balance it out. It just takes like a really long time, and it's a pain in the butt and stuff like that. So then this time though, they haven't told me anything about my protein. My hematocrit's been stable. The 2 weeks I've done it so far, going twice a week. And the actual process of it, because the machine will make like a weird sound if it's like sucking air and no like blood's coming through and stuff. It'll start like beeping and like honking and stuff at you.
Where's it sucking air from?
Well, like it'll get like air bubbles and stuff in the needle.
Oh,
yeah, and
yikes!
From so it's because it's pulling the blood out of you, right? And so if it pulls the blood too fast, like it's gonna miss like a step, right? Or if it's too slow, it's gonna build up and you're gonna squirt and like leak, you know. So, but these times I've been doing it, it's been really smooth. Like yesterday, I think it takes a good hour of laying there with the needle in your arm, of them sucking the blood in and then returning it back to you. This last time there was no problem at all. There was no air bubble. There was nothing. They had to stop the machine, which air bubbles are fairly common. But yeah, it was completely smooth. And I think it took like a solid hour. Then at the end, they shoot you full of like saline, so electrolytes, you know, and then you're good to go. And they check on you, and there's nurses and a doctor on site and all that stuff. So it's safe. But another thing that's kind of interesting is that I typically get bruising because, you know, it is a needle. It is disruptive. I think it's like a 10 gauge or like a 15, 14 gauge needle, something like that. So it's pretty good sized needle. It's basically the same needle that they would use the size for if you donate blood. But usually I get bruising, and it's fairly common to get bruising at the injection site. But they've been healing really fast this time around. Because usually I can't do, because I've done 4 donations in the last 2 weeks, and usually I get rejected for something like that 4th one. And sometimes it is the bruising in the arms, because if it's too bruised, they won't stick you. But yeah, it's been healing really great. No problem. So I'm not quite sure why that is. It is possible that earlier in carnivore I was not eating enough, or possibly I've had some gut healing, and so my body's absorbing the protein better. It could be because I'm doing the X3, I'm building muscle, and so there is no excess protein in it. And so I'm right at the level. I'm getting good levels of hematocrit. I'm not quite sure, but it's pretty interesting that this time I'm having the smoothest time I've ever done with plasma donation. Now, mind you, it is winter, so maybe it's just easier to stay hydrated as well. Although I don't know. I was drinking tons of water in the summer as well, and I always do salt. So weird. We'll have to see. I'll see how well I can keep this up. I don't know if I'm going to be doing 2 days a week anymore, just because work's picked up. But yeah, so it's just an interesting little experiment that can be done weekly, provided you make the criteria, obviously. So I just think it's interesting for myself of all the different experiences that I've had with it, you know, from the veins collapsing of protein to it being smooth. Yeah, it's all very, very interesting, I think. So I'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have never donated plasma, but I've donated platelets before, and it's a similar thing. It takes a little while. I don't know exactly how long it takes to filter out the platelets itself, but the whole process of going, you know, filling out paperwork, answering questions, getting it hooked up. I'm sure. I don't know. I'm sure I was there for at least an hour. You know, so haven't done that in a while. So
Speaking of donating, there's a carnivore I know. You know her too, but I try to leave names out. Who's trying to donate a kidney right now? And uh, what's interesting is that they've told her cholesterol's too high, and so they've put her on a statin.
oh
And I
no,
guess she's taking it because she really wants to donate this kidney. I think it's for a family member, which is understandable. But I just think that's kind of crazy. Um, I'm sorry if so. I'm sorry, Tom, if you need my kidney and they want me to take a statin to lower my cholesterol. We're just gonna have to find another way.
yeah, sounds like it.
But
Likewise.
that was kind of weird to me. I mean, I guess they were worried about the surgery with the. I don't know why. I guess because it's a risk factor in their eyes, so they don't want her going. She is older, so I guess I understand. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The more carnivores go into the world, like what is going to happen. The medical establishment is going to have to change because it's going to be confusing, right? It's like you have all these healthy people and they start donating plasma and blood and whatever else, an organ maybe,
Right.
and then their markers are off, but they're like, but their kidney's healthy, this stuff is, you know what I mean? Like there's going to be that
Yeah.
cognitive dissonance, and it's going to be very interesting as
Well,
this keeps moving
on
forward.
the subject of high cholesterol, I mean, we've seen the studies recently that higher cholesterol tends to lead to longer life and much lower risk of dying of infection. And something I've noticed, the people I know that are on statins, they seem to have a poorer memory. Have you noticed that? Do you know anybody on statins?
I don't think I've ever known anyone on statin. I know my mom was on statins, but I think she's been off of them for a while now.
Mm,
I think. But other
mm.
than that, that's the only person I've known. Well, that I was around that I knowingly knew was on statins.
Well, maybe if anybody in the audience has noticed something like that, or if they heard some other symptoms people suffer from when taking statins, that'd be interesting. So, yeah, chime in, people. Let us know. Of course, you know, it seems like the medical world's been statin crazy for 20 years now, something like that. All they worry about is things like LDL. It's like, oh, the LDL is too high or whatever, and that's the end of the world for some reason. So looks like I almost got my green screen fixed. That one corner still
Well,
moving,
at least your camera's working, so there you go.
right?
Something's working.
Yeah, before I think when you weren't on here, the Trixie jumped up and knocked the screen over, or not over, but messed it up, and so I tried to fix it real quick, but now I see another corner's busted loose.
It's like well, that cartoon. There's several though where like there's a leaky dam, and so like the cartoon character will put like their finger in it,
Mm,
and so like stop it, and then a new leak will spring up somewhere else. And that's using a green screen in like Zoom or any. That's actually technology trying to record and do a show. Just when you figure out that you've got something figured out, something else pops off or doesn't work right. That's just
yeah, and I had everything all set up and tuned up and working good in Zoom, and then we started using StreamYard for these lives, and it's doesn't work quite the same. And I been moving lights around and this and that, and it seems to use a little bit wider camera angle, so it's catching the edges that I normally don't have to worry about. So I don't know what I'm going to do besides move the screen closer, which I might try, but one of these days, right?
right.
So there's always little things we could improve. So the wind is really blowing here. So I hope you guys can't hear it. But
Another thing too is I continue to feel stronger. I don't know how else to put it besides that, and it's not like a brag thing. And I don't mean like I've felt like there are parts of my life where I felt kind of like a weakling because I am a bit on the smaller stature side, and
Bart's
I feel
coming.
oh cool.
Howdy, hi campers.
Howdy,
Hey,
howdy.
Somebody
Bart.
say cholesterol and statins.
Oh, you heard that? Yeah, we were talking about that. Well, as soon as you came on, we're gonna have an intervention and tell you to take some statins.
All right, good. Justin, you're looking well, son.
My camera's broken, so yeah, that's how I'm. Or something's broken.
Now, are you doing blackface? Is that what's going on here?
No, I'm not Justin Trudeau. I have a different name.
I see. Right. And you're not in hiding with Coward 19 or something like that.
No, not at all. Not in hiding
Okay,
either.
good.
No.
No, he just didn't pay his
Good.
light bill.
Wow. There you have it. All right. Anyway, just thought I'd crash the party. What's happening?
Well, we had been talking about frequent eating, and I was asking Justin how that was going for him, and talk about his workouts, and he was just recounting his experiences donating plasma recently, and how he the levels they check before they let him donate and stuff like that, and then he used to have issues with collapsed veins and stuff like that, and it's all gone away. And it was just saying how he feels like he's getting stronger. He's doing the X3 workouts. So
awesome. Can you still donate if you haven't visited Jabba the Hutt in his den of iniquity, or what's the story with that?
Well, what's funny about that is that there's a specific question of, have you taken an experimental vaccine within the last 6 weeks? And so it's kind of interesting. I'm like, are they talking about, because I've heard that if you take the Jabba the Hutt, the stabby, that you're rejected from donating plasma, was my understanding. Yes, is that they rejected people. And so there's actually a shortage of people because of that. There's a lot of donation, if you look into it, that are being rejected due to people. Now, I'm not saying forever. I think there's like a 6 week or some kind of period, depending on the type of donation or what you have going on. But yeah, so they do seem to be screening for that, I think, because I have no idea. I have no idea, because I've done this for about 3 years off and on, and that question never showed up on the questionnaire, because you have to do a questionnaire every single time you log in to donate. And that question never showed up until the stabby came out. So my guess is that what it's referring to, but I'm not sure, because it does not say, have you taken. Now it does ask, now there is actually a separate question of, have you had any new vaccines and things like that as well. So it's kind of weird, though, for it to be specifically experimental vaccine, which, I mean, true, there could be other experimental vaccines going on at the same time. And I don't even know if that particular one is even considered an experimental vaccine, even though it should be considered.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I am quite interested in this this concept that you boys are working on with the frequent snacky eating smaller meals more often approach. I really would like to see how it goes, because obviously I'm following instruction at the moment from Ray, as you know, and I'm doing that to cross-pollinate that and to promote what those guys are doing, which is wildly effective so far in terms of, in my personal case. I'm now 5 weeks into a 90-day program that Raymond's put together over there with the Steak and Butter Gang, and really, I mean, I was told to expect the recomp to be very much in the second half of the program, despite which I'm not even at the halfway point of that yet, and already I've got the most ridiculous, crazy body comp changes. And this is not with any exercise precipitating it either. I'm not training any more than I was, which is bugger all. I'm doing 3 or 4 sets of chins a day, 3 or 4 sets of dips with my own body weight a day, and about 3 or 4 times a week I'm walking for about an hour with a 20 kilo or 11 or so pound vest. That's it. That's my training total, nothing else, and it hasn't changed. And yet the diet's changed. Not that much, to be honest, because I was pretty close to carnivore before we started. The huge change has been dropping out the consumption of all alcohol. And much more minor changes are getting rid of the few last vestiges, really, of whole plant material. The next big challenge will be getting the coffee out as well. Again, I did that last year, and anyway. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So when you gave up the alcohol, did you replace that with some other activity, or you just cut it loose?
Just cut it out. Done. Okay, we're doing this challenge. Got to give it the proper try. Got to give it the full 9 yards. Otherwise, what's the point? I told Ray I'd do it properly, so yeah, that's what.
Yeah, you don't want to piss Ray off. He'll come get you.
That's it. He will find you. Hello, funny man. We have come here and finded you. Yeah. Funny.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you making progress on that. That's every one of these experiments we do and report to people, I think, is helpful, So yeah, it's nice.
There are different ways to skin a cat, aren't there? And I think that as many different cat skinning methods as we can come across in this community that are going to work for people, so much the better.
True that. With all the ways there are to skin a cat, I'm surprised I've never seen a cat skin fur coat. I
think Baldric had one on Blackadder at one point when he was made a lord.
Take
but
your
that's
word
for another day. Yes, you'd have to know Blackadder to understand that reference, of course. English comedy, which is the best kind.
Bart, I have to say I loved your video on Cole Robinson recently.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah,
he is. I mean, it's really weird because I remember listening to him with Sean Baker, and he was all about the carnivore, and yeah, he did kind of talk about he ate 5 pounds of meat at one time and kind of got meat sweats, and his his glucose went up and stuff like that, which is to be expected. But it's a context, and well, you're still not going to get the glucose spike from eating ice cream or a piece, 3 slices of bread or something like that, or a Big Mac. And try to eat that way for 3 months straight. I dare you. It's just you're gonna crash, and you're just gonna naturally gravitate towards fat or some butter or something. So I just find the whole thing silly. And hey, maybe him doing a week-long fast or 5-day fast, maybe that's why he had trouble doing number 2. Maybe that's why he had a bit of trouble. There's nothing he didn't eat.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, for those that have missed it, Cole Robinson now is advocating that we should all slam buckets and buckets of fruit. No, wrong, mistake. Absolutely. And he's also suggesting that in the carnivore community here, that what we are suggesting to people is that they eat a diet which is hugely high in protein and very low in fat, which we are not saying here. Nobody in this community that's got any fucking brains at all is saying that.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we're always talking, trying to figure out what that sweet spot is, but we still eat quite a bit of fat. And I think, we were kidding around about, I don't know if you know Meat Police, but she's always picking on Justin here and there. So, and for a while there, it seemed like she didn't think we were eating enough fat. And then now I don't know what her deal is, but if I trim some of the fat off my ribeye, man, I get hate mail from all around the planet. It's well, I'll just up in my protein a little bit, it's not that much. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know anybody who doesn't eat significant amount of fat. It seems like most people understand the fat's basically your fuel. That's where you're starting from. Most of your fuel's not going to be converted from protein unless you're eating nothing but protein. You'd have to eat some really lean meat.
Yeah. And then you're going to get rabbit starvation. If you do that, you're going to actually lose, despite eating a very high protein diet relatively, if that is too lean, then your muscle mass will melt away. It's called rabbit starvation. It was first identified by some Arctic Circle pioneers that were eating a lot of rabbit and not much else, and they melted away. Basically, they looked like vagoons. They turned into vagoon body styles. Their voices raised to a pitch close, but not entirely, but close to that of Greg Doucette. They lost all masculinity.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
This kind of changed the subject, but kind of not. So coming back to vitamin C, I know Cole Robinson mentioned vitamin C in the video, but I was listening to someone else the other day that was saying how that the paper that is referenced in the carnivore community concerning vitamin C, that you need roughly 10 milligrams or whatever a day or something like that. The very low number is just to stave off scurvy, I guess, but not useful for much of anything else. So do we have, and we probably don't, and I understand that, but would we be able to measure a level of vitamin C that we would be getting that would be healthy for a person on carnivore diet? Or do we have other molecules, other things going on where it's just really not necessary, and whatever we get naturally, it's not even worth measuring, if that makes sense?
Yeah. The whole vitamin C area is quite a murky pond, if you like. There are a lot of people running around saying all sorts of crazy things about vitamin C. The thing you're talking about there, Justin, with the staving off of scurvy, one of the most important and primary roles of vitamin C in the body is in the formation of collagen,
right,
which is our most prevalent, most important protein, makes up a lot of our body structures. So a person that cannot synthesize collagen effectively, their body will start to break down. And there are two ways you can do that. You can starve yourself of appropriate sources of collagen by undertaking a diet like that pushed by the Church of Anorexia Vegana for a start. And then what you'll get is these people melting away and losing all their muscle mass, and their faces cave in, and their cheeks cave in, and their heads cave in, and their skeletal structure caves in, and everything caves in, basically.
What is it? So you say Grandma Nobby, or Grandma, who is it?
Grandma Nobby, yeah, Grandma Nobby, like that, exactly. Or like not Dr. Grigor, who, by the way, turned 49 the other day and looks about 80. Just for a reference, if you want to take a photo of me right now and put it next to not Dr. Michael Grigor, I'm older than he is. I'm turning 50 at the end of next month. So I'm nearly a year older than what Grigor is. Just put our photos side by side. You'll see his 49th birthday photo has been published recently. He's got a beard, and it's quite grey. Well, my hair's quite grey too, so that's nothing really. The beard doesn't make him look younger, I'll give you that. And he's holding a piece of broccoli with a candle in it blowing out his teeth. 48 candles short in your broccoli stick there, I think you'll find not Dr. Grigor. But anyway, there you go. Let's get back to vitamin C, because that's not why you're called. Vitamin C, yes. So collagen, if you eat a diet which is poor in collagen precursors, that's the anorexia vegana approach. The other approach to destroy your body by way of not being able to form collagen works a bit quicker than that, and that's called scurvy. That happens when you don't have enough vitamin C and cannot formulate really any collagen to speak of. And then your gums will start to bleed, you'll get internal bleeding, you will literally dissolve scurvy obviously can be fatal quite quickly. Scurvy develops in people who are vitamin C deficient in about 6 to 8 weeks is the time frame of the process of developing scurvy. Generally, scurvy is experienced or has historically been experienced by sailors who go to sea and who subsist on a diet consisting of almost entirely ship's biscuits and attendant weevils that live in the ship's biscuits, but no vitamin C to speak of.
So there's no vitamin C in weevils?
There might be some, but obviously not enough. There's some protein in there, I'm sure, but whatever. What you'll also find, though, in the men that went to sea, typically, the scurvy was experienced by the staff and not by the officers, because the officers had dried meat, and dried meat contains vitamin C.
They never tell you that. These sneaky.
No, they don't. They don't.
Well,
Indeed.
let's throw in that one tidbit. I don't know if it's true in New Zealand, but in the U.S., when they originally evaluated nutritional content for food, they just assumed that there was no vitamin C in beef, and then
correct, which is wrong.
They didn't bother measuring it and then it turns out that there is in fact vitamin C in beef or other meats, and but it's still labeled, like you still look it up. A lot of places say that there's no vitamin C in it.
Yeah. What that is, Thomas, is that it's a very, very low amount of vitamin C that you will find in meat. Very low. To the point where most of the vitamin C tests that they will do in lab have a minimum amount that they can detect, and below that they just round it down and say there's no vitamin C in here. That's why they put 0 on the label for vitamin C. It's not 0, it's just not detectable. Now, in the case of a person who eats a strictly carnivorous diet, the actual level of vitamin C that's required in that person's blood to prevent scurvy is in the nanograms per deciliter range. Nanograms, not milligrams. So it's an order of magnitude less than that. Okay. You do need a bit of vitamin C, but it's a very, very little amount, a very small amount. If, however, you are consuming a diet that contains any amount of carbohydrate at all to speak of, suddenly your need physiologically for vitamin C in your blood to stave off the same scurvy jumps up by 2 or 3 orders of magnitude. You suddenly now need vastly more vitamin C than you need as a carnivore. Why is that? Well, here it is. The transporter which gets vitamin C out of your bloodstream and into your cells is a transmembrane protein transporter molecule. And it's called GLUT4. Now, anyone who knows anything about carbohydrate metabolism will say, GLUT4, that's the one that transports glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells, isn't it? Yep, the same one. So glucose in your bloodstream outcompetes vitamin C for entry to the cell. So in order to get the same amount of vitamin C into the cell out of the blood, if you consume carbohydrates and have a high blood level of glucose, you need vastly more vitamin C. The RDIs are based around an assumption that you eat a standard mixed macronutrient Western or standard American diet. As a carnivore, you need nothing like that much vitamin C. That's why we are not all falling over dead of scurvy, eating nothing but meat. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It kind of reminds me of a thought I've had, because, you see these commercials for fruit juices or whatever, and they say, they're full of antioxidants. And I'm always like, I wonder if there's enough antioxidants in that drink to counteract the oxidative stress created by the rest of the drink, And the same thing, it's like you hear, this, drink this, that, it's got vitamin C in it. And you're like, I wonder if there's so much sugar in that drink that it's just going to outcompete the GLUT4, and the vitamin C is never going to get in the cells or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then if you've got extra vitamin C in your blood, that your cells can't use because either it's blocked out or your cells are completely replete with enough vitamin C and don't want any more anyway, either of those situations. Then your body decides to metabolize and get rid of the excess vitamin C. And the thing that your body will metabolize vitamin C into for excretion is oxalate.
Right.
Whoops.
Back to the oxalates.
Back to the oxalates. So if you're taking, like, some people take mega doses daily, they'll take 1 gram of vitamin C because they believe that's good for them somehow.
Right.
You are asking for an oxalate problem if you do that. That's a massive overdose.
I had a naturopath once have me on a 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day.
Shit. Yeah. Fuck. Excuse my French.
She was like, well, take it until you get diarrhea. And then if you get diarrhea, that's the dosage that you're supposed to be at. Like, okay, I guess.
Okay.
You know, I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know then.
Take as much of this as you can until you get sick and can't stand it anymore.
Right.
Then you'll be healthy.
I did that. I did that for probably I don't know, a couple years or something like that. But
Jesus.
Yeah, I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder it's taken me so long to get things together. Even the good advice I had was bad advice.
Did your urine glow in the dark?
You would think so.
Oh my God. That's too funny. Yeah, I think this whole vitamin C craze goes back to, I don't think it originated with Linus Pauling, but Linus Pauling had picked up on somebody's theories or studies on vitamin C, and then really thought it was really important that everybody take a bunch of vitamin C. And, you know, with a respected name like that, I think a lot of people took it to heart because they didn't know any different. I mean, you know, it wasn't until I was in the carnivore community that I ever heard about the vitamin C, you know, what the actual requirements are, what happens when you take too much. Because I remember people recommending, I remember when I was a kid, these giant jars of vitamin C tablets, you know, the ones you chew, they're like a freaking wafer, you know, it's like,
yeah,
of course it's like, it tastes like candy, right? So you're like, well, okay, well, if it's good for me, Mom, I'll eat that, you know? So yeah. And I still know people that take a lot of vitamin C and they think that like it could do no harm. It's only going to make you live longer and healthier. You know,
Well, there was also some study or whatever. Someone was where they were injecting like vitamin C into cancer cells and like supposedly killing them. Like it was like 15,000 up to like 40,000 milligrams or whatever, or you know, of vitamin C. And I remember that being like something I read that kind of convinced me that like, oh well, maybe more is better or something like that.
You try injecting the same amount or the same concentration of vitamin C into healthy cells, Justin, and I think you'll find they'll die just as quickly.
I would imagine so.
Well, most of the things they inject you with just when you have cancer are toxic. I mean, that's what chemotherapy is about, right? So I suppose I feel a little less apprehensive about being injected with vitamin C as opposed to Taxol or something, but still.
Yeah. I'm going to do a series of videos probably starting this week, boys, where I'm going to talk about dichloroacetate, DCA, and its many potential therapeutic effects, and obviously the risks and whatever else as well, of course, because I'm a well-balanced scientist. But for those that haven't heard of that, you should stick around on my Science Space channel during the week and you'll learn a lot about dichloroacetate. One of the things that DCA is touted to be able to do is to selectively cause cancer cells of many different sorts to die while leaving healthy cells completely untouched.
Interesting.
Wow.
Incredible. Yeah. Anyway, I'll be looking into that during the week.
Yeah, no, I'm already looking forward to it. Hey, I was just quoting you the other day. Somebody I work with was asking me about fish oil. You know, his wife packs a nice lunch for him, and there's these vitamin containers in the bottom, and he's throwing the fish oil back. He's like, "Hey, do you take fish oil?" You know, I'm like, "No." And I was talking about your research you did on it and the aldehydes and everything. So
It's rancid trash. I took fish oil pills for years, like probably 6 years or something like that too. Really crazy.
I took them for a while too. Used to give them to the dogs, everything. So now just give the dog meat. Just feed fish to the dog. Seems to work better.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Just eating real food instead of taking pills.
Well, you know, this conversation's kind of poignant just because I have a coworker / friend who just lost her father to kidney cancer. And I think the dude was in his late 40s or something like that, you know, and he was supposedly keto. I think only for like a year and a half or a couple of years. And, you know, it's difficult because I want to pass on information. Obviously not right now. Like, oh, hey, your father just passed. Here's some info that may have turned things around. Bummer. It's tough. I mean, there's so many people that go. I mean, me and Tom talk about it all the time, but people that go, you know, too early or however you want to phrase it, and it's just like that's rough. And so with my job, I speak to a lot of elderly people, and I see so many people with kidney disease, all super crazy. And my understanding after doing some reading and things like that is it's the carbohydrates, you know, that not being able to process all that and you know, the metabolic dysfunction leading to this kidney disease. Because I'll look at their charts and there'll be nothing else wrong with them, and then stage 4 kidney disease, and I'm like, that's a left turn. Like, how the hell, you know? But it's just it really kind of took me for a loop until I started looking into it, and it's like that's really sad because it's a really bad way to go. You know, the dialysis. I mean, having to do that 2-3 times a week, that's rough. And I see it at people of all ages, right? So like as young as 40 all the way up to 80 or whatever. And so it's just that's something that's really scary. Like, is a huge health concern that it's not talked about. Like, you don't really hear about kidney disease, and maybe it's because we have dialysis machines and people just go do that, and that's fine. And you can't really give these people medication, right? Because their kidneys are bad, and you need, excuse me, and you need the kidneys to process medications. So they'll have like a chronic pain and they'll have kidney disease, but they can't give them anything for the chronic pain because of the kidney disease. And just a huge mess. And maybe they had a chronic illness or a chronic pain, was put on a painkiller that caused the kidney disease because, you know, it was an opiate or something like that. Now they're on dialysis and they had to get off the painkiller. It's just, it's maddening to me now.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, we had a friend that passed away a month ago from kidney cancer, and another one that passed away from another organ cancer just a week ago, you know, and I don't think they really had any sort of real awareness of low carb diets or the angle of cancer. A lot of cancers are probably metabolic in origin, you know. So yeah, I feel bad. I mean, when I got into this space, my mother had just died 6 months before. My mother had battled cancer for like 25 years, you know, and then my grandmother died of Alzheimer's shortly before that, which was, you know, years and years of decay. And they had never heard of low carb diets or keto or carnivore or anything like that. They never even had the chance. So things might have been a lot different otherwise. So that's why we do what we do, right?
Yep.
Got to keep pushing, keep building the community, keep getting the word out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're all just one donut away from some mysterious disease.
Well, I think it's more than one donut, but several.
Depends what you do with it, really, doesn't it?
Well, and how many donuts have you had in the past? I'm just saying. It's not
Too
the
many.
first donut.
I heard that there's a children protesting. I think it's a school in New York protesting. I guess they're taking away the chocolate milk. Sad. I mean, they're probably just replacing it with like vegan green juice or kale juice. So I would probably protest too if they were taking away the chocolate milk and giving me some green smoothie or something.
Probably
like
give
that.
them chocolate flavored oat milk or something.
Probably. Oh, it probably will be. That's really sad.
They're like, well, we could save a few bucks and tell everybody we're doing the planet a favor by giving them oat milk or soy milk or a soy oat blend, perhaps with some carrot flavoring.
Lovely. Just the thing.
How is it you were doing your investigation on the trucker protest out there, Bart? What happened?
Yeah. Well, what's happened is that there's been a bit of a change of plan here, which I wasn't privy to, but we did still get a modest, but quite, heartening showing of traffic going past us here. Where I live in the South Island of New Zealand, there are two main interstates that run up and down the length of the South Island with several connecting routes between them. One is on the east coast and one is on the west, basically. And the plan was that a significant amount of the traffic would come up our leg of the interstate, that being the western of the two legs. However, this week there's been some flooding a bit further down the line that might have proved problematic, as it wasn't going to be anyway. Nonetheless, the vast majority of the truckers and other supporting vehicles have gone up the eastern, and as such haven't gone past here. We did get some, and I did get some footage of some people passing here. What I'm going to do later on today probably is edit all of that up so that we can see what happened here, show some footage from various areas around the country, all up and down the length of the country, both islands, because there are two main islands here in New Zealand, separated by about 35 kilometers of water in between them. And there are truckers and other supporting vehicles and people waving the flags and screaming freedom and driving up and down the country at the moment. They're all converging on Wellington, which is the nation's capital. That's where our Parliament House is. And they're basically taking a leaf out of the book of those in Canadistan there, and they're going to converge on the Parliament buildings and blockade the thing and stay there as long as it takes, I'm told, which is great. And so I'll do a video later that has my footage that I took today, and also a bunch of other bits of footage taken by other people up and down the countryside as well, so that you get the flavor for the thing. And it'll be rousing. It'll be emotional. It'll be great. So tune in for that in the next few days when I've done the editing and stuff and collected up all the footage I need. I also managed to inveigle some footage from our neighbours who have gone to the local township today to welcome the congregation into the township, where they stopped and had a cookout and ate some food, and balloons were handed out and all sorts of things going on. Yeah, pretty much. There it is.
Excellent.
So a bit disappointing in terms of what we actually saw here, right where we are. However, most of the action went up the other side of the island. There were people there with cameras. That's the great thing about the world today. It's all been posted on the YouTubes and on the fake book by Zuckerdick, and so we'll basically shamelessly steal some of that footage to pad out what we weren't able to get for ourselves here, to show the flavor of what's happening in our country. In other words, basically, there's a small fringe minority of extremists with unacceptable views who don't represent the rest of the country. And those are the ones sitting in Parliament buildings running the place. The actual people who do represent the views of Kiwis were out in force today, and I shall show that later. It'll be great.
Great.
There you go.
Well, and for people out there watching who are not subscribed to Bart's channel, make sure you go over there. He actually has 3 channels, right?
Oh, I think I've got about 5 now, Thomas, on various topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I've got 3 main ones and 2 supporting ones, and there's several others that never took off at all, actually. I've really tried hard to be a YouTube creator many times and failed more often than not. So there you go. Persistence is the key.
yes.
Or apparently it's saying naughty words. That's the thing that works more than anything else. being
Yeah.
abrasive and
They're
saying
taking
naughty
away
words.
the naughty words, though. It's very sad.
Who's
Yeah.
taking away the naughty words? I'm not. Mm,
Yeah, strategically insert the F-bomb here.
yes. All right then. So
All right,
there you
well,
go, boys.
yeah, thanks for dropping by and thanks for having me on your channel earlier. So looking forward to seeing
No,
that.
not at all. Yes, I did. I interviewed Thomas earlier for my Fine channel, and that will be coming out very, very soon when I've done the. Jesus, I've got so much editing to do.
Yeah,
It's
I hear you.
incredible. I'm up to my eyeballs in recording interviews,
Yeah.
editing, the whole shebang. It takes forever. It's an absolute time vampire. So please, boys and girls, let's support each other.
Yeah.
Both by being here to watch things, but also, dip into your pockets if you possibly can, because this is what we do for a living, some of us.
I see a question in the comments. Have you seen any evidence that being on a carnivore diet will stabilize plaque? I presume they're asking about coronary artery plaque.
Yeah. There is no really good, robust evidence one way or another, cause and effect, to suggest that there is any dietary intervention of any kind which can definitely achieve that lofty goal. Anecdotally, however, what we can say is I could personally point you to at least a dozen different carnivores who have been carnivore for about between 7 and 10 years, who can show quite advanced atherosclerosis by way of a CAC scan a few years ago, who now have CAC scores of 0. So anecdotally, the answer is yes. There would seem to be some suggestion that it is possible. If you're looking for hard clinical cause and effect evidence, that doesn't exist at this point. Hopefully in future it will.
Yeah, I got a coronary artery scan done a couple of years ago, and I'll repeat that at some point. My score was a 7, which of course what was Ray's score, like 600 or something? And
Yeah,
really high.
like that.
yeah. That Buffalo Joe was even higher than that. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I don't know, like Sean, his was 0, and he's been carnivore at least a year longer than I have, maybe 2. I don't know. So so that would be interesting, because I mean, and that's when I talk to people that are on statins. So I'm like, well, maybe you should think about getting a CAC score, coronary artery calcification score, before you consider taking those pills. I was mentioning it earlier before you came on. It seemed to me, and this is purely anecdotal, but it seemed to me that people take statins, you tend to notice their memory gets worse, like in the first year. It's like,
that's no surprise.
Yeah.
I can give you the exact mechanism for that if you like.
Yes, please.
Right. There is an electrical sheathing, an electrical isolation type sheath around many of the very important neurons, nerve cells in your body, including within your brain.
Are these all made from myelin?
They're called myelin sheathing. Exactly. It's a flat cell that's full of myelin that wraps itself around the axonal part of the cells, and thus means that you can transmit nerve impulses from one place to another place efficiently, rapidly, etc. Exactly the sort of thing you need if you are wanting to store memories, motor programs, that kind of stuff. Really important stuff that your nervous tissue has to do. Myelin is constructed from cholesterol. So if you take a drug that interferes with your ability to synthesize cholesterol, you interfere with your ability to produce myelin. There's your mechanism.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right?
Easy.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend the other day and who's taking a statin, never had a heart attack, just solely based on, probably a calculated LDL score, right? And
exactly. Yes.
I was explaining, at the very least, you're taking a drug that's preventing your liver from doing a certain process, or it's at least reducing that process so that you produce less cholesterol. And I said, do you really want to take a drug that alters your liver function, you know.
Mm.
And I didn't even really get into the other side effects of the statins, you know. I'm like, hey, go get
Oh, there are many. There are
Yeah.
many side effects of statins. Dangerous contraindicated metabolic poisons that no human being should ever touch with a 10-foot barge pole, ever, under any circumstances. There you go.
Yeah. And they were talking
Mm.
about putting it in the tap water at one point.
Yeah, Jesus.
Right.
We're lucky here where I live. We're very rural. It's out the back of Bumfuck, and we get all our water from the creek behind the property. We pump it up into tanks, and it's pure, fresh New Zealand mountain water. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It tastes completely different to municipal water.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Can I get a bottle of that with your head on it? It says Meat Militia. Can I get a bottle?
Sure,
it.
sure. I should put a label on it and say from the Meat Militia, from the secret headquarters of the Meat Militia, which, by the way, we're revealing today is situated or very close to the locality in New Zealand of a little place called Matawhaka.
I think I saw that on the map.
Yes, it's right. It's within sort of 6 miles or so of Waiwhakamukau. That's where it is. Yes. So if you want to look it up, that's where the Meat Militia is positioned, and you'll see much more of that later on when I actually stop wagging my chin here and go and do this editing, so that you can see what's been happening in Matawhaka today. Also, we're going to welcome everybody that watches that video over there on my channel. We're going to welcome you as honorary Matawhakans. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to make you all card-carrying members of our tribe here in Matawhaka, and as such, you are complete Matawhakans, all of you.
Outstanding. The Brotherhood of the Matawhakans.
The Brotherhood of Matawhaka. Yes.
Got it.
I'll be certainly putting that on my resume.
Excellent. Good. And then we'll have elections later in the year for our government here, because we're going to secede from New Zealand and be our own sovereign state of Matawhaka.
Excellent.
Yes. I love it, Bart.
That's what we are.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be the king of Matawhaka, and Her Majesty Pym, Queen of the Pirates, the unpoked mother of puppies, etc., will be the queen of Matawhaka. But of course, we have the Prime Minister, the Governor General of Matawhaka, who needs to be a complete Matawhakan, I can tell you. All these jobs will be going, so do stick around.
Do you need a chancellor of misinformation? Because I'm down.
A chancellor of misinformation of Matawhaka.
Yeah.
And he will decide who is and who is not a Matawhaka. Or Matawhakan, I should say.
I'll order those business cards tomorrow.
Yes, good. Right, okay, boys, I better go and do this editing anyway. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming
to Pirate Pym for us.
Yeah,
we'll do. Keep it real, boys. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Bart. Appreciate
we love you.
it.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See you then.
Buddy.
Ciao for now.
Take care.
There is a question in the chat I wanted to address before we go about snakes eating mainly fruit. My understanding is snakes are carnivorous. I raise ball pythons and they eat rats, raw and whole and alive.
I think that was a joke about Cole Robinson.
Oh, haha. Well, it just triggered me. So there we go.
I
You guys know how to trigger me now, but
okay,
I get
Snake
it now.
Whisperer, and he missed the Cole Robinson angle. So
yeah. He's so bad in that video that Bart does. Like I've seen his other work. He's usually more tolerable. He's just really, really bad in this one.
You know, I always gave the guy a pass because he was out helping people, and you know, he you know, like a lot of things. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Bart has a lot of theater in it. You know, it's got characters and backgrounds and uniforms and you know, expletives left and right. You know, so that's entertainment. That's just injecting a little entertainment value to get people to pay attention. And that's how I always viewed Cole Robinson before. It's like, hey, fatty, you know, whatever.
Right.
You got to drink your snake juice and stop being a lazy bastard. You know, it's like, all right, you know, he gets people attention, holds their attention, motivates them. That's a good thing. You know, it might be over the top, but it's a good thing. But now apparently you got to eat a crate of fruit every day. It's like, maybe not.
Yeah. You know, I for him, you know, he's probably metabolically healthy enough where it's probably really not gonna mess with him. Maybe. I mean, we'll see over time, right? He's still pretty young. I think he's younger than me. or is, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He could be a little younger than you.
Yeah. And obviously genetically he's got some good genes, you know. And so I think there is some protective things there. Like, do I think it's the worst place in the world do I think it's the worst place? Do I think it's the worst thing in the world if people do carnivore with a bit of fruit? No, I don't. My problem is when people say that you need the fruit. I do a lot of things with carnivore that I wouldn't tell anyone you need this. I mean, I drink Zevia. I know it's terrible for you. But I know I don't need it. I know I'm not getting any health benefit from it. I know it's probably a net negative overall that I drink them, but I like them. And so I drink them. And if you have a problem with that, that's fine. You know, I don't care.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think most of it, you know, like I still drink coffee sometimes, or, you know, and I drink the carbonated water, the, what do you call it, seltzer kind of stuff here and there.
LaCroix.
Yeah. So, and I don't necessarily think they're good for you, but they seem pretty innocuous, and, you know, maybe a Zevia is too, you know, I mean, I don't drink any of those diet sodas because I just never liked them, but I get it, you know. If you don't have an issue with like carb addiction or sweet cravings, and it's probably not that big of an issue, especially if you're not guzzling a bunch of it. It's different if you're throwing a 12-pack of aspartame down a day or something. That's pretty scary, but have one once in a while is probably not a big deal, right?
Yeah, I think the body can take a bit of abuse. You know, that's kind of what I always say. The body can take a bit of abuse.
Some bodies can take a whole lot of abuse.
That's true. And some of them can take a couple car accidents of abuse.
A couple bullet holes.
That too.
Yeah.
But you know, I would never tell anyone that they need Zevia on carnivore. It's just like, that's silly. And I don't see me telling, you know, one way or the other, supplements, not supplements, needing the fruit, not needing the fruit. It's like,
well, you know, we got a friend, I won't call him out, but he's a carnivore, and where he lives, like the mangoes are somewhere in season, and he ate mangoes for like 3 or 4 days in a row just because, you know, they were so delicious, and he hadn't had them for a long time. And he noticed like he got acne all of a sudden from it. He's like, oh, you know, I had it for a few days and it was really good, but then I got acne. He's like, just, you know, and I get it. There's those things we grow up with like that, you know. It's like, I see an avocado and I'm still like, well, it looks pretty good, you know. I don't eat them very often, but, you know, if I eat an avocado a year or something, I mean, what's the difference, right? What is, you know, what's the downside of it, you know? So
yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so important to look at what people are doing, where they're coming from, and where they're going, which is kind of like what I keep saying on here. I guess that's my catchphrase now. Like, there's just certain things you can do when you're in this later and you've put in the time and you've put in the strict no dairy, no coffee, no, you know, you've done that for a while and really felt that and cleaned yourself out. And then there's other people that,
sorry, go ahead.
And there's other people that they just go keto and they get all their goals met. And it's like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Some people have to put a lot more work into it. And yeah, if, you know, people still have lingering issues, you know, it is good to do that experiment. Drop the dairy for a while, see if it helps. Drop the eggs for a while, see if it helps. Drop the coffee for a while, see if it helps, you know. So
yeah. Exactly. And or eat frequently.
I don't think Amy does this because they believe we got to live by some strict code. Like, it must come from an animal and you can't put it in your mouth, you know. It's like, I mean, if some people want to eat a little bit of fruit here and there, that's their business, you know.
Even our most ardent lion diet carnivore, she dabbles, right? So like without much reaction. And so it's really like, it's just really silly. There's just weird pedestal or standard that's put out there about the carnivore diet, but nobody actually lives that way. Like, not 100% of the time, 100% every day that they've been carnivore, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't take your carnivore card away. It's just we're aware of what we're eating when we're eating like that, or when we're having that. We know it's not beneficial. And I feel like that's the line, is that eating something, fine, if you want to eat a bit of honey, eat a bit of honey. But I'm sorry, just the evidence from what I can see is it's either benign or net negative. It's net negative for me. I know that because every single time I have honey, because ironically I have a friend that has a honey company and it's delicious, and he sends me it.
Yeah.
But every single time I've tried it, I get a headache. I feel
Really?
crappy. I get dizzy. I get pretty bad reaction to honey, and it's like pure good stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And
So that's a good contrast right there, because I don't notice anything if I have any honey, but I mean, how much honey do you have at one time? A spoonful or something?
yeah, like I think even last time it was like a half teaspoon, maybe a quarter teaspoon, something like that. Yeah.
I would.
And it wasn't put on anything. It was just,
just tasting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't notice anything. And the same thing, like Joe is, he tells me, oh man, I can't drink wine. It makes me sick, and it's like, he can't even have a glass of wine with his dad, or he feels terrible. And it's like, well, yeah, that's another thing. I could do that. I could have a glass of wine and I don't notice anything. So if anything, I noticed it before carnivore. Like, I think wines with sulfides in them, would make me itch and, stuff like that. Maybe, get some red blotchy patches or something. I'd react to it. But now it's like, yeah, if somebody offers me a glass of wine or something, I don't notice anything. The last time I had a reaction to anything I remember was it's over a year ago, but somebody invited me for, I don't know, a drinks to discuss business or whatever, and I had two micro brews, and I woke up the next morning, my eyes were all puffy and my head was all stuffy, and I was like, wow, that's like some sort of weird reaction to the beer, so. And I know, I'm sure other people, maybe Bart or something, because I think Bart was actually, what was he drinking? Cider or something, maybe a beer.
I think it was cider.
And I don't think he was having any negative reaction to it. It's not a healthy choice, but he wasn't having an allergic reaction or headaches or anything from it. So yeah, I mean, we can all tolerate what we can all tolerate, but I mean, and then there's that level of meeting goals, right? And sometimes you got to cut all that stuff out to hit your goals.
What I find really funny is the people in this space. I mean, I guess if that's their thing, is that like, really want to eat like broccoli. I'm so happy that like I have a really good reason to not eat broccoli. The last time I ate broccoli, I was like 7 months carnivore. And it was at a restaurant, just because restaurants are tough, just because they always want to give you some stupid side, right? It's like, I love broccoli. I used to do broccoli all the time. It should be fine. But like, it felt like it was cleaning my colon, like not in a good way. Like I could literally feel it, the fiber, like shredding like my insides.
Brush.
Yeah. Like it was horrible. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe that it hurt. Like it genuinely hurt. Like I think I could only eat like half the broccoli they gave me,
The last time I remember eating like some vegetables, we were at a restaurant, a family thing, and I ordered, I think I might have ordered fish there or whatever, and it came with like some sauteed vegetables, and of course it's this little dinky ass piece of fish, right? And so I'm sitting there with all these sides, and I was like, well, taste these vegetables, see what it tastes like. And it was like, whatever, broccoli and carrots or whatever. And I tasted a couple pieces, and then I realized, you know what? They just cooked this in vegetable oil. And I would say probably like 20 minutes later, I could feel that weird sort of indigestion from the vegetable oil that I used to have all the time, and that's what I remember. I don't even remember that small amount of vegetable really creating just, wrecking my colon or anything like that. It was just that when that vegetable oil hit my stomach, it just, that weird thing kind of started giving me heartburn, it just didn't feel right. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a vegetable oil. So the vegetable oil thing is a big deal to me, but the actual vegetables, I I have eaten lettuce or something here and there with a burger, and I didn't notice anything. Of course, that's a piece of lettuce a long ways from a bunch of broccoli, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lettuce is just a little bit of fiber and water.
a whole lot of water.
Yeah, and I think I'm done with mushrooms. I think the
Oh yeah.
button mushrooms I had last week messed me up because I did get like a migraine on Monday that was
Mm,
pretty. It wasn't
interesting.
horrible, but it was pretty gnarly. And so the only thing I could think of was the mushrooms, but hard to tell. I'm better, this week. Nothing, then that's the thing, right? Is that okay? Maybe there are a few plant foods that I can have that wouldn't bother me,
Sure.
but to go through the effort of trying to find that out is just more pain than I want to put myself through. It's like
Yeah, and are
why
you going to
why would I
enjoy
want
them?
to, right? Like squash, maybe, now if there was like a guarantee where I could have like grapes or cantaloupe, all right, maybe I'd be more interested, but I've tried it completely destroys me. So like I already know it's out. Like they're really, I mean, I wasn't a big I liked salads before, or maybe I just liked them because I was supposed to like them, right? Or maybe I just liked them because you can throw Thousand Island on them, right?
Right.
Uh, which is just like sugar and stuff.
Right.
Uh, and and so there's just really not any vegetable that I'm or fruit that I'm particularly attached to that would be like, oh man, if I could have that. Now there's worse things that I'd be attached to, like some chow mein or like some ramen. That's what I would if I could have a wish that I could eat and
Carnivore
not
ramen.
yeah, I'd be like ramen. Yeah.
Uh, I get it. All that noodly stuff is kind of, comfort food or whatever. So that's why I've been working on Doritos flavored jerky. I thought, because I mean, it's basically like a spicy cheese kind of flavor, right?
Right.
And I was like, So I'm on my second batch. It's coming along nicely. I'm sorry you're not here to enjoy it.
Dang, I'd be all over that. You got it. If you make a original and then Cool Ranch.
Yeah, ranch is coming next. I've already got that on the drawing board. In fact, I'm trying to get Gumby to pitch in and make a batch. So
That's pretty good. That would be. I mean, that's $1 million, possibly $1 billion business right there.
right, we'll have to come up with a name for it. Code
If
name.
if anyone ever wants to take like a crazy journey, look up the Mars Candy Company family. That is one weird family. Like, there's a lot of like creepy stuff going on there. That's all I'm saying.
Hmm.
And they're billionaires. Like they're mega like top tier rich.
Hmm.
The Mars Candy Company, really crazy if you look into it. So it's like, could we overtake these giants? It's a lot of money. That's the thing that a lot of people I think they get, but they don't get because because you think like the different candy companies are all like a Crunch bar. We know it's Nestle Crunch, Hershey's chocolate, Mars M&Ms, but they each have all these other candies, right? That are so each one it's like more of a conglomerate rather than just a singular company. That you think there's more competition out there than there is, right?
Mm,
And then like just how top secret these formulas are for these candies as well. It's like
yeah.
some of the most like no idea. Like it says the ingredients, but like their formulation, all that stuff is like locked away, and you're not. It's like locked away more than money at Fort Knox. It's really crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, you're probably a little young to remember this, but there was a point where I think it was Philip Morris was merging with a snack food company. They bought like Oreos and something else. I forget what it was, Nestle or something like that. And everybody's like, "What? A cigarette company and a junk food company?" But I mean, they're really cornering the market on the same thing. It's just endorphins, pleasure, immediate, instantaneous gratification, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a habit, right? I mean,
Sure.
people. I was never like this, but I've had friends this way that could that just always had a piece of candy. You know,
Mhm.
they just can't walk by
Yeah.
candy, you
Right.
know, and avoid it. Which has always been really weird to me. You know, I'm just lucky in that way.
Oh yeah, I've known people that like candy was a big deal, and they always had candy around. There's, you know, so
I
mean,
never
and-
even finished my Halloween candy as a kid. Like I could never, and then other people would just chow down on it.
right. Yeah, no, that was the thing. Like I couldn't finish it because I'd always get sick. That was another thing we were talking about. Is like Alien Drone says, yeah, Philip Morris said expected the acquisition of Nabisco Holdings to be added to its earnings in 2002. Oh, was it that recent? But still, that's 20 years ago. Yeah. So, where were we? I got statin brain all of a sudden.
How do you know that alien drone? Are you really an alien drone? So that's why you know like every little topic thing. Let us know if you ever want to come on the show. Screw it. I think it'd be fun. Or whatever.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe you'll bring some great drone footage. So, yeah. So, anyways, maybe we should wrap this up. We've been all over the map. We're already at an hour and a half. And we had to drop.
Shh. I was talking you up. ADS. Well, we'll mute that out. It's all right. It's cool.
It's all right. We all Google a little bit. Or
I DuckDuckGo. I don't feed the machine.
I'm gonna one up you and say I use Brave.
I've been using Brave for like 3 years.
Why'd you say DuckDuckGo?
I don't use when I started Brave when Brave just came out, and so the only search engine on Brave was DuckDuckGo. Mm-hmm. I think they have their own search engine now.
Mm. Yes. All right. Maybe you guys want to post your favorite search engine in the comments.
And your favorite candy or candy company.
Yeah.
We'll see what's out there.
Your favorite candy you gave up to be.
There you go.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Check out Brave ADS. Check it out. It's good. It's great. It doesn't track you, saves time, has all the nice blockety blocks. I love it. I've been using it, like I said, for about 3 years. The developer's on the up and up. It's the same guy that originally did Firefox.
Yeah, Dogpile. Dogpile's been one of my favorites for a long time. I've been mostly using DuckDuckGo and Brave lately. So at work we wind up using Chrome all the time. So I'm still using Chrome, but yeah. All right. Yeah, Dogpile's been around for a long time.
Actually, never heard of Dogpile. At least I don't think so. Was that a browser?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's a search engine. So, yeah, it's been around. Like you said, like 25 years or something. It wouldn't surprise me. So, I still have a floppy disk with Mosaic on it. If anybody needs a copy.
I miss Ask Jeeves. I remember that being a big.
That was so big they even had TV commercials.
Right.
Right. And it was like, yeah, I never could get that to work. Right. The results were always off-putting to me. So all I wanted to do was strangle Jeeves.
Plus, that's kind of hard to type out. I think Americans are too stupid to type that out.
I want to take that tray he's carrying around and beat him over the head with it. What kind of butler are you? All right, we'll wrap it up. Thanks everybody for watching, listening, posting. Yeah, we've had UAE BIF video in here again, Alien Drone Service, and who else did I see in here?
We got to say it cool. He's ADS.
ADS. Raymond Neff was in here. So, anyways, you guys leave us comments in when you watch the video down the road. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button. And make sure you're getting the alerts. We try and do the lives every Sunday, 5 p.m. PST. Got short ribs coming out. Hopefully do some more interviews with folks coming up. And help spread it around. Help us grow the channel by just posting links to the videos, places people would enjoy, and maybe send them to a friend who find it informative. And thanks again for coming on, Bart, my cousin, my Kiwi cousin. Always good to talk to Bart. So hopefully we'll talk to Bart more. I got to stop being being so antisocial and get out there with people more. So, but until next time,
Eat some meat.
eat some
Smash
meat.
that like button. Hit
Smash
that
that like button.
notification bell. Subscribe, comment, and whatever you do, don't fall down the carb hole.
Ending broadcast.